We sit here at our counter and it's just the two of us, and I don't know. Yeah, we just kind of, well, that's our thing. Wheel of Fortune.
Can I interrupt you? I'm going to interrupt you. She has a husband who makes delicious meals.
Oh, very good.
Probably, yeah, he's a great cook. And you sit down with plates and silverware and yeah,
he is a good cook. Too good.
And you just have to sit down and eat it.
Yeah. But I'm the cleanup crew, so I have to do that. But yeah, he's a really good cook, and we probably eat too well and at 6:30 at night.
But, so what I'm hearing you say is part of the way that you slow down to eat slowly is you sit down, you have a plate, you have your utensil, and you and your husband sit down and eat together.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's not too often we don't. And when we had kids here at home too, we'd always make sure that we eat together and would sit down at the table and eat together.
We grew up doing that.
Yeah, we did. Yeah. Yeah.
What are some other ways that you guys, all y'all, find ways to slow down and eat your food, or make your food time less stressful so that you're sitting and you can take your time? Do you have any other strategies? No. Do you eat at the same time every day? At work you do, am I right?
Oh.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Karen, you have a different kind of job.
Yeah.
So scheduling a time to eat is really, really important. And it might change from day to day. A lot of people have this perception that if you're going to schedule something, you have to schedule it at, every day, same time, every day. You don't have to do that. Maybe you schedule it on the daily, right? So if you have a job, Karen, your job is you're like going all the time, right?
Right.
So do they schedule you a time to have a lunch?
Yes.
Okay. And do you have a lunch?
I do.
Okay. Do you get to sit down?
Oh, yes. Oh, yeah.
Perfect. I love that.
Now I do. Yeah.
Now you do. So what other struggles do you have when it comes to digestion? What are your questions around digestion? What are your questions around gut health? What is happening with you guys so that we can kind of move this conversation in a way that's going to be beneficial for you? Because what we just talked about was simple ways every time you sit down to eat to have you be proactive and positive about your digestion. You're going to eat slowly. You're going to chew your food. You're going to keep water away from mealtime, before or after, unless, of course, right, you're eating something really dry. And I suggest if you're eating something really dry, we need to find someone else to cook for you. Sit down. Don't drink during your meal. Make sure you're chewing, make sure you're in a calm, relaxed state. And that might mean that you find somewhere else to eat, right? That might mean that instead of eating with a whole bunch of people, that you kind of find a space where you can go by yourself, particularly if you're at work. Or if you're more relaxed, hanging out and being able to decompress from your morning or whenever, like, right? Like Patty was saying, she sits down with her husband and they eat. It sounds like you have a very happy sounding voice when you talk about that. So I would assume that time of the day is a nice time of day for you. So if that's it, maybe with other people when you're eating is more enjoyable for you. It doesn't have to be deadly silent. You can watch Wheel of Fortune.
It's a good show. We're so old.
You're old if you remember Wheel of Fortune when they had like the furniture rooms. Do you remember the rooms?
Oh, that I don't.
Interesting. Anyway, so what other questions
We're
do you
older
have?
than Laura.
What?
Yeah.
It's okay. What other questions do you have? What other thoughts, questions, digestive issues are popping up for you that we can talk about?
Well, how about some ideas on what type of foods would be better for digestion, or I don't know. I mean, my husband cooks and we eat, vegetables and chicken and, I don't think we eat too terribly bad, but I don't know, maybe there's something else we're missing.
Gotcha. That's a great question. So it's interesting. This is kind of the theme of the day. The biggest thing that you can do to help your gut health and your gut microbiome is to have a diverse meal plan. So if you're eating the exact same things every day and you're not working with a coach and you're not already in some sort of protocol or something's going on, you want to make sure that you have a diverse amount of foods in your diet. Fruits,
Okay.
vegetables, diverse proteins. The reason we want to do that is because the amount of bacteria that you have, the commensal and the opportunistic in your gut, is so large. We need to get all the vitamins and minerals that we can to have it do what it needs to do, and to make sure that the commensal bacteria, that you have enough of the variety of commensal bacteria, right? And the only way that we can do that is if we make sure that we eat a variety of fruits and vegetables, a variety of proteins, and a variety of whole grains. That's what it's going to help us the most. So if you think about it, it goes back to like super simple things that people talk about all the time, and it makes it challenging. Even though it's simple, it's not easy, right? It's eat the rainbow. When it comes to fruits and vegetables, eat the rainbow. Do you have to eat the rainbow every day? No. Think about your week, right? Think about the week and say, I need to make sure I get at least a couple of reds, a couple of yellows, a couple of purples in there, maybe a couple of greens, right? That kind of a thing. And make it a variety of types of things. Here's the thing to think about. I am not a fan of grapefruit. I will not eat grapefruit. Sam, I am. I don't care if someone says I need to eat grapefruit. I'm not eating grapefruit. That's fine. You should eat things that you like. So I don't eat grapefruit, but I eat oranges and bananas and apples and grapes, berries, and all those kinds of things. And I make sure that during my week, I get a good variety of those types of things. Same thing with vegetables. A lot of people don't like vegetables. Do you absolutely need vegetables every single meal, every single day? No, you don't. Could you have greens once a week or twice a week? Absolutely. Could you have vegetables 2 to 3 times a week and get away with it and be fine? Absolutely. Pick some vegetables that you like. You know what a really good hack is for vegetables, for getting a variety? Go to the store, grab a bag of frozen mixed vegetables.
That's easy.
There's 3 or 4 different types of vegetables in there. I know, I eat them. There's carrots and there's corn and there's beans and there's peas. Bang, you're good to go. Right?
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be like, you see all these people who are like, I'm going to meal prep right now. And they have like their kitchen is gigantic and they have all these things and they're roasting and they're grilling and they're chopping and you don't have to do that. You can go and get frozen. Frozen is great. If you're trying to find a variety of fruits to add to your life, you can also get mixed fruits. Right?
Yeah.
Makes it easy. So when it comes to like, Karen, you were talking about, I don't know how you make it so easy. How do you find the time? It's finding those little things that make it easy for you, right? Is getting the frozen ones if you want to. And then, and then sometimes don't, right? If you want to make like, once a week we have steak, we grill it on the grill, we have asparagus. I use a little coconut oil, a little lemon pepper, have asparagus once a week, right? So you can plan those things. And a lot of it though, is the planning part of it, is to sit down and say, okay, this week, this is how I'm going to do this. And these are the days, like, this is the day we're going to go out. Like if you have a date night, Carrie and Trevor, Just an idea. And if you have a date night, plan your date night. What do you want? You know, go out and have something fun. But then maybe the rest of the week you can talk about, hey, what are the things that I want to have this week? What am I feeling, you know, like hungry for? And how do I want to do that? Simple meal template looks like this. Have a protein at every meal. Pick your protein. Have a variety of proteins throughout the week. Beef, chicken, pork. You need a variety of proteins for the same reason you need a variety of fruits and vegetables, because you can't get all 20 amino acids that make up protein. All the protein that you need all the 20 amino acids. They make up protein. Not every protein has all the 20 amino acids that you need in it. So if you're only eating chicken, like think old bodybuilder ways, chicken, rice, and broccoli, if that's all you're eating, you're actually going to be really nutrient deficient. So don't be afraid to pick up different proteins. So decide, I'm going to have a variety of proteins this week. These are the ones I'm going to make. These are the ones I'm going to have. And have some fruits on hand, have some veggies on hand. Pick a really good, like a starchy carb that you like. Don't stay away from starchy carbs. They're really important for your energy. They're important for your hormones. They're important for your mood. Carbs make you happy. Believe me, when you're in a cut and you don't have many carbs, you know, they make you happy. So it's a great meal template to do that. Pick a variety of proteins. Every meal you have a protein. Every meal have a fruit. Every meal have a complex carb or a starchy carb. And if you want to throw a veggie in there, you don't have to do it every time, but you can. If you love veggies, pop them in. That's the simplest way to look at like meal building, and the simplest way to get a diverse gut microbiome, to get that really good diverse bacteria in your gut and keep it healthy. Make sense?
Mhm.
And pick like 2 or 3. It doesn't have to be like a new fruit every day. Pick 2 or 3 fruits for the week, and like you can rotate every other week. You can do that with vegetables. Does that help?
Yes,
Yeah.
that helps.
So when you're doing that, if you come across something that you're eating that affects you in a negative way, then you'll know, and you'll know right away, right?
Right.
So if you notice that after you have whatever your lunch meal that you feel extra bloated and you are noticing you have gas after that lunch meal, then you can look at the lunch meal and go, what did I have? And what could have been the culprit for that? Keeping in mind that you will notice more bloating and more gas the more stressed you are when you eat, and if you move around more when you eat. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, absolutely. For sure.
Yeah.
And then if you notice and you're wondering and you're like, I think it was X in my lunch meal, well then just don't have that. Right? Take that out of your meal planning for a week, drop it back in and see how it feels. And if it happens again, you probably do have an issue with that. For sure. Food sensitivities, though, they became very, very in style a couple of years ago. Everybody was having food sensitivity tests and things like that. And they're not really research based. Most people who have
really?
Yeah. Most people who have sensitivities just have a gut health issue that they need to take care of, and they probably have bacterial overgrowth.
Oops.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on probiotics and prebiotics? And
That is a great question. Most people don't need prebiotics or probiotics.
really?
Yes. Most people who are on prebiotics, you're a little different, my friend, but most people who are on prebiotics and probiotics just need to get their gut health in a good spot, because you don't really need it. If I have a client who I'm putting through a gut health protocol, Carrie would know this, right? When we're coming out of the gut health protocol, when we are repopulating that good commensal bacteria, that's when we drop in our probiotics and our prebiotics. However, you can eat things that help with gut health. If you're noticing something like that, like anything like kefir or anything that is fermented, that can help with gut health.
Okay.
Yeah, most people don't, unless like, right, if you're, here's a great example. If you're on an antibiotic, before you even take your first antibiotic, you need to be on a probiotic.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely need to be on it. Saccharomyces boulardii is a great one to be on when you get an antibiotic, because antibiotics kill everything in your gut. Good.
Right.
Yeah. And unfortunately, when doctors put you on antibiotics, they just kill it all and they don't help you get it back. So, yeah.
What was the name of that probiotic?
Saccharomyces boulardii is a probiotic, a type of probiotic. Now Brand Foods on Amazon is a really good Saccharomyces boulardii. You can get it on Amazon, super cheap, not a big deal.
Okay.
Good luck. Don't ask me to spell Saccharomyces boulardii. I just start putting it in, it comes up. But the thing is with Saccharomyces boulardii, that's the only probiotic that you can take during an antibiotic, and it will keep your commensal bacteria.
Okay.
The antibiotic won't kill it. So
Okay.
that's a really good one to have on hand.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Even if you end up with food poisoning, been there. It's a good one to have on hand.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Other gut health questions. That was a good one.
I have a question about what you just said about food sensitivities. So does that also include like food allergies?
Allergies and sensitivities are different.
Okay.
If you have a fully tested food allergy, that's totally different. Think peanuts, right? If you have a child, and I have a friend whose child was sensitive to peanuts as a young child, and they went through and did the entire protocol to get that child less sensitive or less allergic. I don't think that you can get, I don't know if you can get fully out of it. I think it depends on the person, but sensitivities and allergies are completely different.
And what is your take on gluten allergies?
What? And that is super dependent upon the person. There are people who do have a bad enough gluten sensitivity issue that gluten just doesn't work for them. Absolutely. And that's an easy one to test on your own. You don't need to go to the doctor to figure that out, right? There's particularly, so think about it, if you're a woman and you've ever had someone say you might have PCOS or endometriosis, you have an inflammatory issue, and gluten is probably not going to help you, right? So a gluten, if you have a sensitivity to gluten, it's pretty easy to stay away from it nowadays, right?
Yeah.
And I would suggest, though, that before we go to, and I do this with all my clients and I tell it to everybody, before we start taking foods away from ourselves, before we start restricting and getting really less flexible with our food choices, we need to make sure that we have all of the basics taken care of. Because you can feel like and present with symptoms of a gut health issue, and it can be caused by a high amount of stress. It can be caused by you're eating too many processed foods. It can be caused by a sluggish liver. It can be caused by a sluggish gallbladder, right? So we don't want to immediately start to chop food choices out of our diet. Like particularly looking at like you'll see people be like, I just can't eat any carbs. They're just, I can't handle it. Like you don't want to start doing that. We want to dig in and find out what's going on and if those things are happening. It's not hard to find out if you know the right questions to ask and the things to look for and the ways to kind of work with those toggles and see where the sensitivities lie and what's happening, right? But I would say, yes, there are people who have gluten intolerances that should probably just stay away from gluten. But if I have someone coming to me who eats a lot of processed foods, has a high stress job, doesn't sleep very well, I'm not going to, and they say, I have a gluten intolerance, I can't eat it. Well, I'm going to go, I think we need to address the other issues first. And then I wouldn't tell them, you know, oh, just keep eating gluten, because we don't want that. But I would say, let's work on these other things first, stay off the gluten, and let's see if we can reintroduce it. And I'll give you an example. I had a client a couple of years ago. She couldn't eat eggs. She loved them, could not eat eggs. We knew she had a gut health issue going on. We got the basics in line. Like she was eating more healthy, whole, natural foods, right? Got all that stuff. We did a GI map on her, and she had SIBO, small intestinal bacterial overgrowth. Okay. Which just means she had some of that bad bacteria was overgrown. We had to go in, we had to do a gut protocol. About, I think it was probably about 2 weeks, just about 2 weeks prior to the end of our kill phase in the gut protocol, before we're gonna repopulate, she decided to try eggs. And because we had done so much work on getting rid of that bad bacteria, she could actually eat eggs again. Like, yep. But I told her, I'm like, don't do it yet. Let's get through the repopulation phase, because it takes about a month. And then we'll, you know, jump back in, try the eggs again. Don't do it every day. Let's just do it once every like 3 days, just to see how it feels. And can she eat them every day? No, she can't eat them every day. She notices after about 3 days that she kind of starts to feel a little hinky. So, but she can now eat them like every other day. And she loves them. So she was very excited, because she thought, oh my God, I'm never going to be able to eat these again. And it was just that something was going on with the bacteria, that it was fermenting and causing issues. And she didn't feel good after, you know, she had gas and she couldn't go to the bathroom, and it was just not good. So did that
Are those,
go ahead, Ann.
are those the symptoms of, you know, a bad gut, gas, stomach bloating, I don't know, diarrhea? Those are, okay.
So depending on the person, right? It's an interesting thing, because a lot of people will say, I'm just going to out him because my sister's not on this. My brother-in-law has the worst, like room clearing. Help us all. And he says, I've just always been that way. That's normal. And if we get really particular, we can say, yes, for him, that is normal, but it's not common. Like, or actually it's opposite. It's common for him, but it's really not normal. Like, you should not have room clearing gas. You should not. No. It's not for, I mean, it's not anybody else. No one else needs that, but it's not good for you either. If you're experiencing heartburn, yep, that you don't have enough stomach acid, you actually need more, because your parietal cells aren't working very well. So if we can heal that and give them time to heal, you wouldn't need to be on PPIs, right? If you have diarrhea, you definitely have something going on. If you have constipation, you have something going on. And something doesn't have to be small intestinal bacterial overgrowth. It doesn't have to be an overgrowth. Constipation has a lot to do with liver detoxification or gallbladder, right? So I know that for me, because I've done some testing, that my liver and gallbladder can be sluggish. So I take a little supplement, I'm fine. If you have gut pain, that can be H. pylori. If you burp a lot, acne, skin issues, like psoriasis, dry skin, allergies like like a lot of people now are like, oh, the pollen is really bad. Well, it could be pollen. But a lot of histamine reactions come from your gut because that's where the histamine will overgrow. Candida, if you have like athlete's foot a lot, or dandruff is actually candida. And all of those are gut health issues. So there's a variety of things and a variety of symptoms that it could be. And do you always need to go through a giant protocol to heal your gut? Absolutely not. In fact, that is not usually the first place we go. And Carrie can speak to that. Carrie and I have been working together for a while, and we did some amazing work, and then we got a GI map and we went through a gut protocol together. But we did a lot of stuff ahead of time and she was feeling better. We just knew that there was something else going on. So that's why like this webinar is more about the beginning, like those simple things that you can do so that you know you have the basics kind of down, right? So that if those kinds of things are happening for you, there might be some other things going on. But if you make sure you chew your food and you're in a calm environment when you eat as much as possible, right? And you're eating more, like 80% of the time, eating natural whole foods and not eating processed stuff. Processed foods are so hard on us. They don't give us the nutrients and vitamins that we need anyway, right? So we end up being, nutrient deficient. But if you're doing those things, watching how much water you're eating or drinking while you're eating, making sure that you're getting a variety of foods to kind of keep that gut microbiome diverse, and you're still having issues, then we can talk. Then there might be just simple things to do to help you feel better. It doesn't have to be something crazy.
I have a question. So how do you feel about taking vitamins?
Vitamins, so that depends. I love answering it that way. Most people should be on a good multivitamin.
Okay.
And part of that is because most of us have many opportunities to not eat whole natural foods at home, right? And part of that is our food supply system, like for example, they just did research. I was just reading research on this the other day. Our apples don't have as much vitamins in them as they did 30, 40 years ago. Because our food supply, because our food supply just isn't what it used to be in terms of the nutrient value of our food. So a good multivitamin is fabulous. A good cheap multivitamin is not going to be found at Walgreens or anywhere like that. There's a really great one. It's called 2 per day, and that's at lifeextension.com. That's the one I take. That's the one, there are other ones that are more expensive, but that's a really good quality one that for those of us like me, who I will spend my money on things that are important to me, but I don't feel like I need to overspend. That's a really good quality multivitamin. Other things most people should be taking: a good fish oil, a good omega-3. Another good one most people should be taking is a vitamin D3 K2. And the reason you pair those two together is because that K2 helps the D3 get absorbed in your body. And if you want to make that even more powerful, go for a walk outside. So those are the three big ones that most people should be on. Are most people deficient in magnesium? Yes. Right. So if you get a nice magnesium blend, glycinate's not bad. But those are like the big four. And once you get like to those and you do those and you kind of get the basics down, right? Where the lifestyle that you have is you're eating, more natural foods, you're getting your sleep, you're recovering well, you're stressed. Even though you have stress in your life, you're dealing with it, right? Like your perception of it isn't overwhelming. Energy's in a good spot. You're exercising consistently. When you have all those down and you take those, Then I saw that face. Then if things are still off, then we can look at other types of supplementation. But really, the hardest thing for people to do is do the basics. Because what we want is someone to just say, this is the one thing you have to do. This is the easy thing. Take this pill or do this thing. When in fact, it's just like the car analogy, right? It's all the little things that you do daily. And it's the way that you take care of yourself. That's what self-care is. Are you going to bed at the same time generally most nights? Are you getting up at the same time generally most mornings? Are you drinking all your water? Right? Are you staying hydrated? Are you spending time with people that you love and you care about that fill you up? Are you getting exercise? And I'm not saying run 26 miles, go for a walk, right? Are you doing some strength training to help those muscles? Are you eating natural whole foods most of the time, right? If you're doing those things and you're taking a couple of those little supplements we just talked about, those are the things that are going to move the needle the farthest. If we do that if we do that consistently. And then when we hit those bumps in the road, or if we're starting from a space where we've kind of dug ourselves a hole and we need a little extra something to get us where we need to go to bridge the gap, then we talk about other supplements, right? To help bridge the gap. But if not, then we just do that and it becomes simple. Eat enough food, not too much and not too little. It's the Goldilocks effect.
Mhm.
Yeah. What else? That's a lot. We just talked about a lot of things.
Mhm.
A lot of things.
But you made it very easy to learn.
Well, that's my job. No, I'm just kidding. That's what I'm here for. And
That's what you
it's what I want you to know though, is that, and Karen, you did say this, you said you make it sound so easy. And what I will say is that it's not. And we know it's not, because if it was easy, every single one of us would be doing all of these things all the time, and we wouldn't be sitting here having this conversation, right?
Mhm.
It's simple. And what it is it's taking, and that's why we started with chew your food, sit down, and don't drink your water, right? Like chew your food and sit down. If you can take small habits and just start to stack them on top of each other. So maybe you don't sit down every time you eat. That's okay. Make sure like at lunch every day you sit down and eat. Like make yourself a small habit to start with. One small thing to start with. Every day when I eat breakfast, I'm going to sit down and I'm not going to scroll social media. Okay, because social media can be stressful, right? We don't need that when we're eating. Or listen to the news or whatever it is. Or maybe you have to, sit and eat in the bathroom because the children are driving you crazy. I don't know, whatever it is. Make that small habit and just do that one thing for a week. Because by the end of that week, you'll be like, this feels really good. I think I want to keep doing that. Maybe it takes 2 weeks and that's fine. And then you stack another habit on top of that. Or maybe it's every morning for breakfast, I'm going to make sure that I have a piece of fruit. So I at least get one fruit a day, right? And just do that. Do that until it becomes comfortable. And you're like, I just do this. This is just who I am. And then add another habit on top. Mm-hmm. That's how you take something simple and make it easy, right? You don't do everything all at once.
see, and that's where I feel like I have to do all of it. I have to do all of it.
How many of you feel that way?
Forever. Yeah.
I still feel that way.
Really?
Oh, absolutely.
I would feel guilty if I ate a meal without a vegetable. I know there are some times where I'm like, oh, I just don't feel like eating any vegetables. Ugh.
So So I'll tell you right now. So then we have to look at the balance of that. I think that's amazing. See, normally as a functional health coach, I'd be like, yes. No, I'm not a normal functional health coach. Here's what I'm going to say about that. The biggest thing you can do for yourself in that situation is weigh the pros and the cons of it. Is it worth feeling guilty? That feeling, that stress you're putting on yourself, that, oh my God, if I don't have a vegetable, I'm going to feel guilty. Or can you just go, it's fine. I don't need to have a vegetable every time, and give yourself some grace. You have to weigh that, because there has to be flexibility. There has to be flex, because this is life, people. I don't know if you knew that, but this is life. Just it's not always perfect. In fact, I don't know that it's ever perfect. It's never. And if we beat ourselves up over the fact that we're not being perfect, we're we're doubling down on it. Because if you beat yourself up and you like put the guilt on and wear it all day, your stress levels are going to be higher, and that's going to make you less healthy.
Sure.
Am I saying that you should do that all the time and be like, screw it, there's ice cream? Yeah, every day. I mean, there has to be some sort of boundary and structure, but
right.
There are those times where you kind of have to go, oh my God, it's okay. Hey, people, I eat ice cream once a week. Like, I don't care. My coach knows. And he's going to post progress photos pretty soon. It's going to be frightening. So we'll see.
It won't be frightening.
I don't know. So what else? What other questions? Honestly, the worst thing that we can do is feel bad about ourselves and not love ourselves, which means the best thing we can do is love ourselves. Love yourself where you're at while you're moving forward. You can still love yourself. Think of all the people in your lives. Think about the people who are closest to you. You hold so dear in your heart, that you love so much. They are not perfect, but you don't sit and beat them up for that. You love them anyway while they're on their way, particularly if you've ever had or do have children. There are days. Am I right?
There were days.
Very true.
Yeah, but you love them anyway. So why wouldn't you give that gift to yourself? There's only one person on this planet that knows you better than anyone, and that's yourself. And there's only one person on this planet that can love you like you should be loved every minute of every day, and that's you. Your first relationship is with yourself, because there's no time on this earth that you ever get away from that relationship. And if you're standing there with the club in your hand, beating yourself over the head, you need to stop. And you all know there's plenty of people on the planet that will do that for you. You don't need to do it to yourself. So that's why when it comes to our digestive health, and that's the thing, the biggest thing that affects your digestive health is stress. And the biggest thing that affects your overall health is your digestive health. 70 to 80% of the serotonin in your body is made in your gut. We all know serotonin, right? Anxiety, SSRIs, right? Most people who have high anxiety have a gut health issue, because the serotonin is not being created in their gut that they need. Most people think it's up here. It's not. It starts in your gut. Your gut health is directly related to your overall health. Your stress levels are the biggest thing that affects your gut health. You don't need to beat yourself up. Stop doing that. Start small. Sit down, chew your food. Or don't sit down. Start with just chewing your food. Right?
Yep.
Anything else? Closing questions. I don't want to leave anybody hanging. No? I will tell you in closing, partly closing. I have dealt with almost every beautiful gut health issue there is, because my life has been one giant stress ball. I have been an anorexic and a bulimic. And if you don't think that affects your gut health, yikes, really wrong. I was in my early 20s, and I went to at least 5 different doctors who told me I had IBS with constipation. And I didn't. I just wasn't eating. Anyway, but I've gone through gut health protocols. I've had H. pylori. I've had food poisoning. I've done all the things. Honestly, when I say stress is the biggest contributor to gut health, I am 100% a super stress ball. And that is all I work on every day, is not being stressed. Because the second I stress out like a crazy person, stuff goes wrong down in there, and I don't like it. So if you take nothing else from this, remember, deep breaths. The easiest way to relieve stress is to take nice deep belly breaths. Sit back in your chair, take 5 deep belly breaths. That's going to bring you back into your parasympathetic system, your rest and digest. So before you eat, sit down, take a couple of breaths, nice and easy, chew your food, do that stuff. Other questions? Last call.
Does cortisol go hand in hand with the stress levels?
Cortisol?
Cortisol, yeah.
Absolutely. Cortisol is your biggest stress marker.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Yep. And if you have labs you want me to look at, you just let me know.
Okay.
And on that note, if you're looking for simple and easy, I am in the process of getting my group coaching platform ready to go. It's going to be the basics of nutrition. You get to choose your own adventure. Anybody else remember those books? Those are my favorites. So with the group coaching, you get access to the app. You get to choose 3 different avenues for nutrition: macros, habits, or portion sizes. You get to choose 3 different types of training: body weight training, general fitness, or strength training. And I have this whole lovely plan to get put together. It's a very simple platform. It will be really fun because we're going to do this twice a month, just like this. And you will have access to me as your coach. It'll be super fun. It's not going to be super expensive. It's a really great way to get in, do some simple things, work on the basics, and start to feel better. So you will be seeing some information about that. So keep that in mind as we move forward too. So I do want to say, though, I have had so much fun talking about gut health with you. It is such a deep subject. There's so many more things to talk about. We just really covered the surface, but that's easier because you don't want to get too in depth. But I do want to offer that if you do have other questions, like things particular to you that you didn't want to bring up today, or that kind of come up as you're thinking about this in the next few days, you have my email. You have all my contact information. Just let me know. I'll probably be reaching out just to see if you guys have any other questions too in the next few days, just because the point of this was for me to help you. And I wanted to be able to give you the opportunity to ask the questions. And I know sometimes we get off of these things and we're like, crap, I forgot to ask that. So keep that in mind as you move forward, because I am here for you. I love helping people. I want you to feel good every day. Okay?
We love you too.
Oh, thank you. So you guys have a great night, and I'll be in touch. If you're not in touch with me, I'll be checking in with you just to make sure and check in and see if you have any other questions. Okay.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thanks, Laura.
Have a great night. Thanks for coming.
See you in the morning.
Thank you.
See you in the morning.